is sharing his screen. So our speaker tonight, for those of you here freaking out that we don't have a speaker here, it's because he's on the Zoom. So Luke, he's spoken for the Turtle Club several times and he's moved around quite a bit. He and I cross paths on social media many times because one, he's a professional involved in the turtle and tortoise world, but he's also into carnivorous plants. And if you didn't know, I'm a carnivorous plant guy. I actually had a carnivorous plant meeting today. So anyway, Luke recently started a new nonprofit called Saving Slowpoke out in the desert area. And so he's going to tell us a little bit about that. And Luke's background, he's got a degree in wildlife management, as well as a degree in journalism, science communication, more specifically. And currently he works at the California Desert Program as a manager for the National Parks Conservation Association in Joshua Tree. Please don't make me say that again. So at any rate, Luke's gonna give us a little introduction to what he's up to with his new rescue. Luke, if you want to, there you go for it. All you. Oh,
hey everybody.
Oh, give me 1 sec. I forgot to switch the speaker over on our side. Give me 1 sec so everybody here can hear you. Well, it's because my controls moved. Give me 1 sec. Okay, now I'll try it again.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Oh, that didn't work. Hold on. Yeah, no, the speaker turned off. Oh, there we go. All right, try it again, Luke. Sorry.
How's that? Can you guys hear me okay?
There we go. Now we can hear you. Let me just turn that up. All right, go for it, sir.
Cool. I had to turn the brightness down on my computer. I saw nothing but whiteness on my glasses there for a second. But yeah, thank you, John, for the introduction. And yeah, really happy to be here speaking with you here virtually. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I have a 2.5-month-old that would not allow me to be out that late, I guess, just out past my curfew a little bit. But all the same, thank you for having me and allowing me to speak to y'all and give you a little introduction about our new little organization that's on the up and up. And let me just get this speaker box out of the way so I can see my own slides. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, here I am. So I'm Luke. Sorry you have to stare at my mug here for a second while I introduce myself a little bit more. John already gave you a pretty good introduction for me as far as my education and my background and what I currently do. Other than that, I'll just say that I'm a native to the Mojave Desert. I've been here my whole life. My family's been here for a while. I grew up in Basulto, California. I'm a born and bred desert boy, and I just love it. And that's one reason why we want to help the desert out and help the tortoise out. So let's see. So our beginnings. We've been working with and studying desert tortoise for a pretty long time. This one is from a while ago. This is when I was about 6 years old. And this is me meeting my first desert tortoise. Me and my sister meeting my first desert tortoise. And you can see my dad there putting on some gloves to get it off the road and doing it the right way, actually, which is, I don't know that many people back in the day were, knew to put like barriers and stuff between their hands and the tortoise, but he definitely did. And he really, put a lot of good values in us as far as tortoise etiquette from a pretty early age. I will say that between the people involved with Saving Slowpoke now, we have maybe a little over 50 years of combined experience with captive care as well as conservation in the field out in the Mojave, and in captive settings too, with like head starting programs and the like. We officially launched Saving Slowpoke in 2019. on Instagram. That's sort of what we're going off of as our official launch date. The idea has been sort of floated around our family for years. I mean, we've always wanted to do something with the tortoise, and do what we could to help it out with the resources that we've kind of garnered over years of working with them, and networking with people who work with them and meeting people who study them. It all kind of came to a head with Saving Slowpoke, and that's sort of our inception there. And I'll go back to this one. This was 26 years ago, and ever since this day, I've been pretty much obsessed with tortoises. I made my parents buy me every book they could, or that I could find at least, that I knew about, and it's been the rest was history. And I couldn't do much for my shoes back then. It was the 90s, so gotta cut me some slack there. But getting into conservation, this is sort of our big picture goal. This is everything we do is centered around this word here, conservation. So at the end of the day, we're here to help the animals survive humanity and our rapidly changing world. We've involved ourselves with field work as much as possible as well. You'll see here. This is some of the field work we've done in the past. Some of our staff, myself included, or staff, I'll say teammates, we don't really pay anybody yet. I think it costs more money than it actually it produces, but at this point at least. But some of our teammates have undergone some field training courses to learn how to perform and participate in clearance and presence absence surveys. And that's sort of what you're seeing here is a presence absence survey, sort of monitoring a property for desert tortoise sign, just to assess population viability and habitat quality. Unfortunately, the one on the left here is deceased. We think that one passed away from drought conditions. You could see that it's very, very dry. It was very dry that year. It was dry years before that. So we're thinking that this one was subject to some drought conditions and likely starved to death, which is pretty sad. But bright side is that this year is looking really good for them, especially out here in the desert. It's beautiful and green, and it looks like a salad bowl out there. Here you could see just some of the tortoise signs that we've been trained to look for, just gaps and burrows. That's a few of the signs that we're trained to look for. You can see here this gentleman is using a mirror to kind of shoot some light into the burrow, and you can see a tortoise just there. And that's just another kind of skill we've learned to look for these guys. So activism is another big component of Saving Slowpoke. This is sort of how we feel we can affect change within that big picture of conservation. So what you're seeing here is sort of this tortoise here is going to be important in the next slide as well as the sign here, both these pictures, I guess. What you're seeing here is a burrow, obviously under a creosote bush. This is what they like. If you haven't seen one in the wild, this is a wild tortoise burrow. They really love their creosote bushes, and any kind of bush really gets them out of the sun. These are some turds. I know those of you who own tortoises or care for tortoises are well familiar with what turds look like, so I won't spend too much time describing them. Let's see. So as I was saying on that last picture, one of the things we've been involved with lately is activism, and we've been kind of dipping our toes in and found that we're surprisingly pretty decent at it, given the network that we've kind of grown over the years, and sort of the efforts that we've become aware of. This is one that we just recently and are still helping with currently. This is a development in Wonder Valley, which is just east, just east of 29 Palms, kind of in my neck of the woods here in the Morongo Basin near Joshua Tree. And this section here, if you could see my mouse moving, this kind of building slash developed area is an old jojoba field. And this is an old, I think it was an old electric generating station or electric company building. But a developer recently purchased this property and wanted to build a big resort. there. Obviously, the people of Wonder Valley moved to Wonder Valley because they like the rural nature of it. They love the dark night skies. They love their wildlife, and they love to not look out their window and see a giant resort shining into their window. So we got wind of this. I got wind of this through my other job, which is this is sort of the thing that I do for my other job is desert protection overall. But we got wind of it and sort of started looking into how we can help, and found that the developer had a survey done on their property, which they're required to do through the county through a process called CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act. I believe that I have that correct, but really what it is a set of guidelines to make sure that there's no damage that's going to come of a development, especially in the county of San Bernardino. So they went ahead with that, and they filed what's called a mitigated negative declaration, which is basically their way of saying, we're willing to do a survey, but the survey is going to show you that there's nothing here that can be harmed. And then the county can approve that, and they can go ahead with their project if it's true. That's sort of where things got fishy for us, because the community here is well in tune with the wildlife here, and it's well known that this surrounding area is loaded with desert tortoise. So it was kind of fishy that this developer came to the county and said, look, we did a survey, and it said that we found no tortoise sign there. There's no sign of any tortoises there. Doesn't look like there ever was. So the community kind of looked into that more, and I got involved a little bit more. And a little ways down the line, we found that a survey had actually been done by a very renowned tortoise biologist, a gentleman named by the name of Ed LaRue, who has a biological consulting company based out of Big Bear called Circle Mountain Biological. Ed is on the Desert Tortoise Council. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to the Mojave Desert tortoise. He's surveyed for them. I've surveyed under him and gotten mentorship from him in that regard. But the survey came out, or sorry, his report was discovered, and it was actually done on this exact property just 3 years before the developer had their own survey done. So this developer basically decided that they were going to ignore Ed LaRue's survey and do their own that would yield a result of no tortoises, even though Ed's survey yielded this tortoise. That's why I said he was going to be kind of important later. Yeah, there's a living tortoise found just right in the corner of this little parcel here. And it was right in here, right in this jojoba field. And yeah, that was kind of a big deal. So we kind of hammered him home on that and brought it up. And I went out there kind of on my own time, just to kind of look around and see what was going on, and get a sense of the habitat there. Just because if Ed LaRue is the guy that's saying that it's good habitat, then it probably is, and there's probably tortoises there. And I went out there to see if I could find any myself. And this road here via Arenosa is actually a public right of way. So it's a public property here, this road. So I kind of cruised in, making sure it wasn't trespassing, parked my car right about there, right off the property. And I ended up walking this road down and kind of off the property just to make sure I wasn't on this side of the road. And found this little guy, and that is a very young desert tortoise, obviously. But what's special about this guy is that he or she was born likely last autumn, as the hatchlings are. This is important because it's indicative of a reproductive population in the area, which is even more important, I would say, than finding an individual subadult or adult. This is just proof that tortoises inhabit this area and reproduce here. So this was filed, the report was filed, I got all the data I could, and now Saving Slowpoke will be giving public comment on the 23rd to the San Bernardino County Land Use Services Planning Commission, just to make them aware of this and let them know that the developers last survey is now kind of rendered invalid due to this new little morsel of data. So that was kind of our first, this is the process of being kind of Saving Slowpoke's first little win in activism. And yeah, we're excited to do more of this kind of thing and just kind of help speak up for the tortoise and the communities that are willing to protect the tortoise and its habitat. And, oh, and this picture here is just another species of special concern that was found on the property. This is a silver cholla. It's found throughout the property, but the developer didn't care about that either. Yeah, I just wanted to put it in there because it's, you know, it's a part of the habitat. It's a part of what makes the area so beautiful. Oh, let's see. There we go. Okay, so education and outreach. This is where our hearts are, really. And this is giving what we know and love back to the community. You know, it's really what it's all about at the end of the day. So what we basically do and what we're primarily doing now as an organization is providing resources. Yeah, we're providing resources to the public, doing public and community events, mostly in the desert, just because we can, you know, speak to those things more accurately because we live here and that's where the tortoises are. But also other places we've done classes and outreach in Los Angeles. Currently, we're a few members are out in Bakersfield at the Wind Wolves Preserve doing a spring festival where they're bringing tortoises and some desert wildlife to kind of get people interested in the desert there. And yeah, we'll also do like private events and kind of overall just meeting people halfway with everything. We want to be accessible to the community. You know, we don't want to be something that that people, or especially young people, see as an unattainable or unapproachable resource. Everything we do is geared around being approachable and being I don't know, acceptable, I guess, to people who are willing to get into this line of work and this interest in these animals. And I'll go to the next one here. And these are just a couple of quotes that we kind of built our kind of our ethos off of. This first one: in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. And that was by Baba Diawum. I'm not going to pretend to pronounce that correctly, but he's a Senegalese forestry engineer, and we believe those words very, very much. The other one is, of course, from the famous and late Steve Irwin. If we can teach people about wildlife, they will be touched. Share my wildlife with me because humans want to save things that we love. That last sentence there, humans want to save things that we love, is what Saving Slowpoke's entire mission really is based off of. We want to build a connection to the desert through the lens of the tortoise. You know, we want to give people a gateway into the desert and into conservation and into a whole whatever they want. Really, it just takes you know, a little nudge in that direction for them to decide that, you know, they want to explore it for themselves and fall in love with it on their own. You know, too many times do people you have people out there saying like, you need to love this, or you need to care about what I care about. That's not what we're about. You know, we want to show people what we care about, and we want to show them how passionate we are, and hopefully that inspires them to look into their own passions. And if their passions are desert tortoise, then that's great, and that's mission accomplished in our eyes. But really, it's just about getting people to pursue the things that they love, because, you know, you do that and you never really work a day in your life. You know, that's why I do this. It doesn't feel like work to me at all. And let's see. So yeah, this is just another a couple pictures from this weekend that my brother had sent to me. He was there this weekend. These are just some cool moments of outreach where people are connecting to the wildlife, and we do bring other desert wildlife. This is a chuckwalla here. He's a favorite just because he's really calm and he likes to hang out with people and get warm if he's kind of cold. He's always kind of cold if it's not like 130 degrees. So he's a cool little educational animal. And we got some snakes here and a bunch of little skulls. And right down here in this corner, if you could see that, those are some desert tortoise shells. Those were found by this man here. This is my dad. That's Park Ranger Art. He's been a park ranger for the Bureau of Land Management for 23 years now. And really the the spirit of Saving Slowpoke comes from this guy. He's the passion that keeps everybody going, and he loves doing this kind of stuff. Right here, this connection that you're seeing is what he's all about. He wants to get kids to fall in love with this stuff because he's seen how important it actually is. And he brings these just to show people the impact of raven predation and how important it is to pick up your trash, and that whole net that whole food web, if you want to call it that. But yeah, Team Slowpoke. So our team is really made up of people from all walks of life. We're people of color, we're people from different socioeconomic levels, people with troubled paths who've come like full circle. We know what it's like to be sold short and looked past, to not have any of the chances to progress that others have had, maybe. We're late bloomers, that's sort of what we refer to. See, when we're saying Team Slowpoke, we're referring to the late bloomers. And we are the founders of this organization are late bloomers in our own right. We've not because we're slow, but because we've never really had the chance to speed ahead. With different when you're I'll leave it at that. We've never had the chance to really speed ahead compared to maybe some other groups of people. But our goal here is to give others this chance through various forms of involvement and hands-on training and programs. To just gain some experience that could benefit their future and help move them forward. We want to build a sense of community with Team Slowpoke is really what this is. And what you're seeing in these pictures here, this if you've ever been out into the desert, kind of off-roading and come across something like this, it's actually really common. These are just dump sites. People don't want to pay, $15 or so to go dump all their trash because it's so much cheaper to just, back your truck up into the desert and scrape it all out onto a road. So that's really what one of the things that I really want out of Team Slowpoke here is to show them that this is stuff that's happening in the desert. This is in desert tortoise habitat. Get them involved, as you're seeing here. These gentlemen are picking up trash from a dump site, just so we can, get the desert cleaner, make sure that this kind of, especially colorful trash, like red things, yellow things, little pieces of candy trash, all that stuff is really detrimental to tortoises, just because they'll come across it and maybe see it as a colorful thing, and if they're a hungry tortoise, which they usually are, they'll just munch down on that and it'll get all stopped up in their guts. So we're really trying to get people involved in this way. Obviously get animals into their hands just so they can build that connection. That's a real important one that we find. And just giving people the opportunities to succeed. And so here's some of the things that there's a thing in the way. Some of the things that we plan on doing for people to learn, to get involved with, and even throw onto a resume. That's really what it's about, is getting people the work experience they need to get into the field of conservation. This is something that means a lot to me because this is what it took for me to get to the point in my career that I am now. If it wasn't for experience building and being able to get out there and get my hands on stuff and get involved, I would never have built the experience and the resume to be in the position that I am now. And I really see the value in that and want to do that for other young people. And you can see here, we would like to get people involved with critical habitat restoration, conservation fencing repair. This is like tortoise fencing repair. This fencing kind of keeps them off of major highways. It always needs repairing. Off-highway vehicles will run them over all the time, put brakes in them. People will cut them and the tortoises end up wandering onto the road and getting hit by a car. So it's an important thing to keep on top of. We want to get people involved with education and outreach. We've seen the value of it, and the more people we have out there preaching the gospel of the tortoise, we think the better. And if they're passionate about it, we want to aim that passion into sharing with others and getting other people passionate. That's just what it's about. Community event organization, we're doing a lot of that now. So we're kind of learning what it takes to to put it together, and we want to pass that along too. It's all just about passing knowledge forward. Yeah, all these things. I won't read the whole list, but at the end of it all this knowledge that we've gained, we find that it's useless if it dies with us. You know, we want to pass it out to as many people as we can, so that those people are passing it on, and so the world is better for it, and the tortoise is better for it. Yeah, and here's just an example of some work that we've done. This here is a denuded area. This was used as a turnaround spot for like an RV or multiple RVs over time. People would come here, go shooting. This whole place was like littered with bullets and yellow, red, like shotgun shells. Tortoises do occur in these foothills here. We've found them before. Not too often, but this is just an example of what we do within critical habitat as well. And this is just the examples of like vertical mulching afterwards, placing larger dead trees and rubbish, not rubbish, but like organic matter around to act as seed catches. This is all work that's restorative to this environment. And I have to go back and get an updated photo of this, because I went by it the other day, and it's actually really, really grown in, and you can't even tell that anything was there before. So it's just a really rewarding thing, especially for the young people that we get involved, to have a good tactile, instantaneous kind of result. When you're working out there in the desert, it's just so beneficial. And I've seen the benefit of it, like, you know, seeing the results of your work and knowing the implications of it and the benefits that come of it. It's just one of those things that keeps you motivated and on to the next thing. Yeah, so this is the part I think most people would be interested in here, because I guess it's in your name, right? But captive husbandry is also a part of Saving Slowpoke that we've been building. We want to find the best way to care for our shelled friends, and as many of you know, there is a lot of information out there, and it's a lot of good information, and it's just a lot. So new people to this, we've come in contact with these people. A lot of people have come to us asking us the same questions. So we've kind of built some talking points around that, and some experience in this field. As I said before, we've been caring for tortoises almost as long as we've known that they've existed. You know, that first tortoise there in one of the first slides was that was what started it. And I think probably a couple of years later, we ended up getting one from a friend, and we've had them ever since. You know, and it's been trial and error. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot of information for me to find, at least, being a kid in Barstow. But meeting people and talking to biologists, talking to veterinarians, and really just kind of narrowing down what these animals need has been pretty much what we've done for the past 20, 30 years now. And really what our approach to this is, which is what I'm hoping people will have some questions about, because I really want to get people's take on this, is that these animals they're designed to fit a very specific set of natural resources, and they're physiologically adapted to survive within those resources and thrive within those resources. So when we take these animals out of the wild, or they come to us out of the wild, it's in our nature to be very nurturing. And these animals they don't need to be nurtured. You know, they come from a place that is the opposite of nurturing, and they've learned to survive in that place very, very well. So with that in mind, with their physiology in mind, and their natural history in mind, we've sort of started. I won't say just started, but maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, we started shifting our dietary regimen to sort of match their natural cycles. So I'll go to the next slide here if I can get to work. So this is just a kind of a chart that we've been following. And I'll just go through how how our year is of care. And right, like now, as you know, tortoises are waking up from hibernation. They're out, they're poking their heads out of their burrows, they're walking out, they're basking, maybe they'll nibble on something. But in a good normal year, between March and April, they'll start foraging. Usually within April here, they'll start foraging a lot, and they'll start eating all this green stuff that's popping up. And that's where we try and start matching them. Between now and then, we'll offer water, obviously. It's important for them because they've probably lost some water over their hibernation. But between April and mid-June, we give them as much greens as they want. Proper greens, appropriate greens, obviously. We give them plenty of fresh grasses, the dark leafy greens, native plants, and just really try and pack in those nutrients within these 2.5 to 3 months, because that's what they would do in the wild. They would really, desert tortoises only really get the majority of their nutrition within a 2 or 3 month period or window during the year. Because then once June and July comes, and through August, all the way until, fall starts again, these things dry out. All these plants that they eat, they become, husks of what they used to be, but tortoises will still eat those things in the wild. So tortoises, what we do for our tortoises is we'll only give them dry foods. We'll cut back the fresh greens, the really highly nutritious foods during the summer months, just because a lot of the time they'll estivate as well. They'll kind of go into a summer dormancy where they're down in their burrow. They're not as active during the day, so they're not really actively out foraging. So we'll give them dry food. We'll offer water, obviously, because the summer months here, it's sort of a monsoonal season for them anyway, naturally. So we'll give them water. We won't water them every day. We found that our tortoises, given the chance to drink, they will drink. And some of them, we've had to treat tortoises that have drank too much water, especially tortoises that have been brought to us fresh out of the wild. Someone's found it in their yard and he was looking for a drink anyway, and they give him to us. And now he's in an environment where he gets water every day, and he's an opportunist. So he will drink water every day. And we've had a tortoise that's that's had some edema in its tissues and some a little bit of kidney issues. We're not sure if that's related, but there was an impact to drinking a little bit too much water. And that could have been the individual, but because of that, we're just trying to follow the kind of natural cycle of their water anyway. We know that they don't need water every day. So we're trying to give them a little bit more than what they would get in the wild, obviously, but not nearly, not anything close to something like a sulcata or like another pet tortoise. They definitely get a lot less water in these months. And in those months. But come fall, we follow the same pattern where they'll have limited forage. Usually in the fall, we'll have kind of a secondary flush of green, and it's right before they go down for the winter. So we'll pack them with a little bit more food before they go down. This is sort of the time period where we'll introduce like a Missouri diet, the pelleted diet, which is really high in nutrients for them. Obviously, we try to limit that throughout the year, just because it is very nutritious, nutrient dense, and it can lead to some obesity problems. Here in the early spring, we'll offer it too, just to help in case there are tortoises that have lost weight or that aren't as healthy coming into it. We'll pack them up with and get them back up to weight with Missouri, but then we'll kind of cut it back. And then obviously they go down for the winter, and then we start all over again the next year. But that's sort of the method we've been following. And in the previous photo, you could see, not that one. In this photo, we're keeping well track of his weight. This has sort of been a years-long experiment to see the effects of their weight and their health. We're working with a couple of exotic vets just to do constant check-ins with them to monitor their weight and their body composition. I've spoken with a few different tortoise biologists now, Ed LaRue included, as well as some other folks in the Desert Tortoise Council, and sort of ran this idea by them, and they seem to think that it's a pretty solid way of going about it. I mean, as like there's no one way to go about things, but what our thinking is with this is that hopefully we can give this to people as a sort of solid resource. You know, not that any of the resources out there or any of the info that other people are giving is bad. It's just overwhelming sometimes. So what we're really hoping is that we can be a really reliable, consistent resource for desert tortoise care. And that's sort of what we're going with this. And it'll be interesting to hear what people think about this when we get to the questions. I'm going to try and keep this kind of short, just so we can leave some time and some space for people to discuss and ask questions. And so what's next for Saving Slowpoke? So this is sort of what I was thinking: collect some wild tortoises, put them in a race, $100 entry fee, proceeds go to my beer fund, and then the tortoises are re-released afterwards. And we'll call it the tortoise races. We're bringing it back. And obviously, I'm just kidding. I would never do that. I don't think anybody should ever do that. But it's just funny that this is an old poster that we found in Joshua Tree. I guess that used to happen back in the day. I couldn't find a date that this was happening. I'm assuming it was back. Oh yeah, there it is, 1962. But there's a few different posters, and I guess it's been going on for a while. And luckily, it stopped. But yeah, that couldn't have been good for the wild populations here. And but yeah, on all seriousness, we do have some ideas. Eventually, we would like to possibly work with California Turtle and Tortoise Club to help potential owners become qualified enough to adopt. We really want to help out with the overcrowding situation. We know that there's quite a few desert tortoises out there, probably too many desert tortoises out there in need of homes. We just want to be a part of helping that. If it means, consulting with people to make sure their yards are right, or, giving them the resources they need, pointing them in the right direction, giving them a private, kind of class about the tortoise, or, natural history type stuff, whatever we can do to help is what kind of our intention is. We'd also like to work with the Desert Tortoise Council, just to sort of make peer-reviewed research opportunities, training, funding, that sort of thing more accessible to underrepresented and marginalized communities, particularly tribal nations, BIPOC, people, organizations, and of course differently abled people. We just want to make sure that the tortoise is for everybody, and that everybody knows that. One of our big goals that we're actually working on now is a kind of a home base of operations, or a visitor center in Barstow, to more directly interface with that community. That's the community that gave us our start, so that's where we kind of want to set up shop. It's very central in the Mojave as well, so it's kind of a good place to have things based out of. And if any of you have been to Barstow, you know that there's the Desert Discovery Center there. It's kind of been defunct and abandoned, but it's a beautiful building, and we're working on getting in there. Yeah, we want to work. We want to make the desert tortoise more relevant to younger members of the community. We're finding in talks with the Desert Tortoise Council that it's tough to get young people to take on board positions, or roles where they're going to be in positions to do some of this work. It's hard to really get them involved and get them excited about it. But I guess we just got to make the tortoises a little cooler. And part of that is, bringing in younger people and getting them the resources that they need to, build the education and build the experience and build the love for these things, that they want to pursue it to that level and that extent. And yeah, if we're open to ideas, if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear how we can best help. I mean, this is why when John reached out to me, I wanted to do this, is because, I want to be involved with the community, and I keep saying we want to make sure that we're hearing everybody out, and we're taking advice and concerns into consideration, just so we're approaching this the right way. And yeah, so thank you. And this is as last photo. This is kind of our mascot here. This is Slowpoke, and we call her Slowpoke because she only has 3 legs. So this is one of our educate. This is probably the outreach education animal. We bring her along just to show people the importance of making sure you have the right set of environment, the right that you're prepared for a desert tortoise, because Slowpoke's story is a real sad one. She was taken out of the wild. She built a burrow underneath someone's house. They decided to move. They didn't feel like digging up a tortoise, so they left the tortoise there. By the next spring, when she was waking up, a new family had moved in with a dog that really liked to chew on stuff. And the first thing it saw was Slowpoke coming out of her burrow to get some sun, and went to town. And she lost her leg all the way up to almost like what would be, I guess, her shoulder. She had this whole bottom part of her skin separated from the plastron there. She has some damage underneath her shell as well, and you can see like the gular horn here had a little bit of damage, but yeah, Slowpoke was treated. We made sure she got the help that she needed, and she still gets around. She moves in circles sometimes, but she still gets around. She still digs. She still has a great appetite, as you can see, and yeah, she's doing her part to teach people that a tortoise is no light responsibility, and especially a desert tortoise. They need a lot, and they need a lot of care, and they need a lot of preparation. But yeah, I'll stop there, and we can open it up to questions if that's all right with you, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody? I already asked the Zoom folks in the chat, but anybody here have any questions for Luke?
And I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Oh, there's Luke. Now that you stopped sharing. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me do this. There we go. That's what Luke looks like. All right.
Everybody.
Any questions from anybody? Anybody at all? Barb?
So the developers did a survey saying that there wasn't anything, but the survey before that there was, and then they found some new that.
Yeah, so she wanted to clarify the surveying situation with that developer, because it sounded like they had maybe resurveyed it to get a favorable response. If you wanted to just kind of go back to what that.
Yeah, so the developer now, initially they had that survey done. Let me see if I understand correctly. Are you saying that like the current state of things? Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, that too. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, sort of where things are at is that this developer is going to come to public comment and kind of be that in that situation. They'll plead their case, and they'll say like, look, this is why we did the survey. This is why we got this person to do it. Like, you know, basically trying to make the planning commission and land use services believe that their project is not going to have any impact on anything. And then public comment is just sort of the public's way of saying like, no, like you overlooked Ed LaRue's survey. You're overlooking the fact that there's an actual like a baby that lives there as a breeding population there. Yeah, that's sort of where we're at now, and that's going to come to a head kind of on the 23rd. And as far as a clarification, I'll just go through it one more time. Initially, the developer had knowledge of Ed LaRue's survey. They knew that there was a survey done there before. They chose to go to the county and say, we're going to do our own survey. They didn't mention that Ed LaRue's survey was done and that it had yielded a live tortoise. They just went ahead and put their own survey out there, and they sent a young biologist out there. We looked into this biologist's work experience, and they've been a biologist for all of a year and a half. Their previous position before being a biologist was a barista at Starbucks while they were in college. And it's nothing against that biologist, you know, they're just taking a job. But the developer and the consultant that they hired knew that they were sending an inexperienced person out to the site to look for tortoise sign, knowing that this person didn't know what they were looking for. probably told them, like, if you see a tortoise, that's the important thing. And didn't tell them about the sign or anything like that. They just gave them a set of protocols to follow and sent them out there. That obviously yielded no tortoises, so it was in their favor. And they put that forward to the land use services, and that's where we got involved. So now, yeah, what we're going to try and get out of them is, what the goal is to make them do a full environmental assessment of the property, which is what they've been trying to avoid. They really are trying to avoid it because if they do a full environmental assessment with a state or federal biologist, they will find tortoise sign, and they will find a bunch of things that are going to hold up their project. So by forcing them to do that, it's essentially killing that project.
So still, development, they're trying to take it kind of, and you guys are trying to stop. So you're still in some cases.
Yeah, there's a public comment hearing coming up. In your experience, Luke, is one baby tortoise enough to stop the development, or in your experience, does it require more than that?
It definitely requires more. It's really going to hurt this development, considering now that there's 2 live tortoises. There was one found by Ed LaRue's survey, that juvenile, and now there's a new one that's, as I mentioned, is indicative of a reproductive population. So if the planning commission hears that, or when they hear that, they're going to say, this merits looking into, at least. They won't kill the project there. They won't outright deny it probably, but they'll make the developer look into it more. So finding tortoises there is definitely, it's not something that can be overlooked, for sure. And it does have a big detriment to these projects.
And in the past, like we've heard other environmental groups say that in cases like this, normally they would just relocate the tortoises. Do you think that's what's going to end up happening, or what do you think would happen in this case?
And if all things go bad, that is a possibility that they'll try to relocate with tortoises they do find there. I think the messaging of I think the bigger picture that I'm trying to convey to the planning commission with this smaller tortoise is that you're not only messing with individual tortoises here. You are interfering and developing on land that is important and vital to a reproductive population of these animals. So like that's something that kind of supersedes an individual tortoise. Like finding an adult there would have been one of those cases where it's easier for them to plea, like, oh, we'll relocate it. We'll pay the mitigation. That'll be our mitigation money to relocate this one tortoise. But showing the planning commission that this is important habitat for tortoises to reproduce in is something that can't be mitigated for. That's, if you're disturbing the land, you're ruining that habitat. And that's sort of what the argument is going to be on the 23rd for us.
Cool. Yeah.
Are you getting any help at all from the state of California?
So the question is, are you getting any help from the state?
From the state, like in what regard? Sorry.
What do you mean by?
Well, the tortoises are protected. That comes from the state of California. And,
oh yeah. Their status is what's.
Has the state stepped in at all and said, hey, it's vital to the tortoises, the protected, can't touch them, can't harass them. Now you want to move. Has the state given you any help at all?
So I guess the question could be rephrased. Are you getting any help from the state or Department of Fish and Game? And if so, what does that look like?
As far their involvement really is dependent on what can be proven that's there. It's not on them to know where all the tortoises and where all the tortoises are and what in that regard. It's on the biological consultant and the surveyor to put that stuff forward. And if there are tortoises there, which there are now, that's when the state can get involved. And really what their involvement is in the laws that they have, right? So that's what's going to hold stuff up. Like those laws will dictate what the county can and can't do regarding that species. You know, everybody's subject to the environment, to the Endangered Species Act or the State Endangered Species Act. So yeah, tortoises there means that they can't do a lot of things. They can't really do anything. But that's really, there's no like state representation. Like there's no one coming to the planning commission to speak on behalf of the state. It probably won't come to that. The state and doesn't really get involved unless it's like a really huge project. And this is just like one development in a community. So I really leave it to like smaller organizations like myself, or I think at most the Center for Biological Diversity has expressed interest in helping if it does come to it. They have a reputation of just suing everybody for this kind of thing. So that's about all it would take, I think. I don't think it would take much state involvement.
All right. Anybody else? Any other questions for Luke? Otherwise, we're going to cut him loose so he can get back to his 2-month-old.
I don't mind staying either if there are questions. It's all good.
I bet. Yeah. Okay. Anybody? No? Last call? Anybody on the Zoom? George, did you have a question in the back?
No.
Oh, you guys were saying hello to each other. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I guess that'll do then, Luke. Appreciate you being here tonight, taking time off with your family, and you know, hopefully we'll see you soon at one of our events or one of your events.
Hey, of course, yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting anybody. If you were there, just if you're here and you meet me later, tell me you were there so that I can know that this is what the situation was. But,
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I
let's stay
do-
connected and
Yeah, and I do think that we have an interest on how this development case goes. So keep us posted on that.
I
And
definitely
if you
will.
get any, if you get any news articles or anything like that that you want us to share on our social media and whatnot, you know, forward that to me and we'll make sure that we're resharing and spreading the good word.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And again, thank you guys so much for having me, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Cool. All right. Thank you. The Zoom folks, I'm going to shut the Zoom down so that the folks that are here can eat cake and have more fun.